So hello, it is so fantastic to be here with all of you. As you just heard, my name is Ashley Still, and I lead our mid-market business here at Intuit. And this is my very first Intuit Connect. So who's with me? Who's a first-timer out here? Awesome, let's give a round of applause for all the first-timers. Okay, so I heard that this used to be in San Jose. Who went when it was in San Jose? Amazing, amazing. So I have to say, the energy, the passion from all of you has just been so incredible. I am so glad to be here. And it's so inspiring to be surrounded by such a vibrant community of accounting professionals, business owners, finance teams, and partners, and all of you so deeply committed to enabling businesses to grow and thrive. So earlier today, we threw a lot at you. We unveiled all of the latest innovations across the Intuit platform. And of course, this session, we're really going to focus on mid-market. So we showed you our AI-native ERP that is truly changing the game and bringing power without the headaches and complexity of legacy ERPs. And of course, we showed you the Intuit Accountant Suite that is helping firms use the power of AI and HI to deliver services and manage clients at scale. But we're going to bring all of that to life in the best way possible through the voices of customers and accounting professionals just like you who are actually living this transformation every single day firsthand and scaling with us. But before I bring out our panelists, I want to give a huge thank you to our Lighthouse community. And we formed a Lighthouse community to really give us guidance. We say our customers really show us the way. And the progress and what we've built in mid-market would not have been possible without all of our Lighthouse community, many of whom are here. So please join me in giving them a round of applause and thank you. So with that, let's welcome our panelists, Sharon Ourian, Scott Franchini, and Jordan Fladell. All right, so let's start with introductions. I would love, obviously you all have amazing stories, and let's start with the audience getting to know you and your businesses a little bit better.
Hi everyone, I'm Sharon Ourian, and I am the CEO and founder of CyberActive Inc. and the co-founder and principal of Ourian Investments. CyberActive Inc. is in the business of online education. In fact, our company brought the very first online traffic school and driver education to the internet back in 2000. And since then, we have expanded into other licensing courses like OSHA preparation and real estate, mortgage, notary, all kinds of certification courses across over 30 states. And as another business, Ourian Investments, we have properties in commercial properties, residential properties, car wash portfolio. And on top of that, my husband has a medical practice. He does cosmetic dermatology. And we also have a global skincare brand that's all over Europe and coming to US in 2026. So lots of complexity in our businesses.
So every time I see Sharon, she started another business. Basically. She is a true entrepreneur, which is just amazing.
Thank you. So the story is I was about to leave Intuit unwillingly. I didn't want to leave. I love the company. I love the software. It works great. But having so many different businesses across so many different lines of businesses, entities, and really different kinds of things. Like you manage real estate a lot differently than you manage an internet company. It wasn't working for me. And I went to Intuit and I said, I have to go to a bigger software, a much more complex software that can manage everything. And they said, hold on. They sent a team to our office. We met, and I basically told them, me and our team, we told them, this is what we need. So we sketched out the basics of what we needed, and then that became like hundreds of hours over the next year of me literally standing at a board saying, this is what we need. Your software has to do intercompany transactions. It has to have one login. You have to be able to do one thing here, another company recognizes it. Anyways, that became IES, and that's when they presented it to me. One day I remember they came and said, it's ready, your software is ready. And we put the companies on there, and I don't do the actual bookkeeping or accounting, but my teams were like flabbergasted. They're like, this is the Holy Grail. We can't believe it. So that was the start. So I was the first IES customer and the first Lighthouse customer, and I'm very proud of that.
Amazing. Scott.
So my name is Scott Franchini. I'm a partner at Red Hammer. We're an outsourced accounting company that focuses 100% on the construction industry. We provide controllership down accounting services with an emphasis on job costing. So our clients are really the middle market, general contractors, developers, subcontractors. One of the things that really separates us from the other firms that are really in our space is our technical extension. So we do a lot of work to help gravitate our clients to the right space when it comes to their technology footprint. So we do a lot of turnkey sort of solutions where we're stacking Intuit along the way with other partners that are out there, a lot of them in the expo space. We do system implementations, software remediations, and really at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is bring a level of people, process, and technology to our customers. A little bit about my background. I started my career 26 years ago at Deloitte doing ERP implementations in the Oracle space for manufacturing and construction. Fast forward, I worked at Microsoft and Dynamics, and then eventually started my own ERP firm related to implementations. In 2020, I joined Red Hammer. It was a single state firm in Hawaii, and we've now since expanded it to 20 states. We have 3 brick and mortar locations, and my role within the firm is growth and enabling technology for both the firm as well as my clients.
Thank you. And of course, Jordan.
Well, sometimes going last is difficult because these are 2 great stories. I'm Jordan Fladell, and I'm the Managing Director of Technology Advisory Services for Aprio and also our National Intuit Practice Leader. Excited to be here today. Aprio is a nationwide firm, top 25 firm, and we are the first mid-market firm really to dive in and be an Intuit partner, and we're just excited about what the future holds.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you all for being here and investing the time to be with us today. So Sharon, let's go back to your story. So you were at that precipice where you were on QuickBooks, you liked it, but your business was growing and you needed something, and obviously we worked together to bring IS to fruition. How has that changed your business and how your business operates?
Well, it's changed. I mean, first of all, I didn't have to leave because now everything talks to each other. And really, with all the new AI capabilities and the all-in-one platform, I started putting everything of our company, including our payroll, our bill pay, HR, everything is in Intuit, is in the Intuit platform. And it has really changed the way we do business.
And what are some of the benefits that you and your team are seeing?
One app, there's no more disconnected 20 apps managing things. Lots of hours saved. And for me, as the owner of the whole thing, I see a lot of reports and a lot of KPIs. And before that would take so long to get everything. I would ask the different teams and they would have to say, oh, can I give it to you by Wednesday or whatever? Now I just go in and the dashboard has everything and I can compare it against each other. And it just makes, it saves a lot of time, but I'm not operating in the dark. And I feel like that's very important when you're running a lot of entities and you don't have a lot of time. And also, it's saved us a lot of human resource hours.
Yep. So you can see your data's
Right.
connected, it's all in one place, you don't have
Yes.
20 different logins.
One
and
login.
everybody can get work done a little bit faster.
Yeah, and then we use, like, for example, we use a time app, so whatever, everything that our employees do is logged in the system. Everything that, all the accounting. It's very important when you run a company for everything to be in one place. And I never realized it until we actually started using it. And that's why I always tell Intuit, I even use their payment system, as you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So, Scott, you are often working with construction firms that are getting to that 7 to 10 million in range. They also are thinking about how do they grow, the ways of working aren't working anymore.
Right.
Tell us a little bit more about your typical client and what they're trying to solve and when IES is the right fit for them.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the things we love about QuickBooks, because that's a good baseline for the conversation. Usability, great user interface. Everybody loves the bank feeds. We have adaptability, how easy it is for people to learn. It takes days, not weeks or months. Interoperability,
Yes.
the ability to connect to third-party applications, and then the flexibility, how quickly it is, how easy it is to actually go in, fix transactions, do reporting ad hoc, and so forth. So what happens is when these companies hit that $7 to $10 million mark, they feel like they're kicking off the training wheels. They've graduated, little ego involved, and what they're doing is they're chasing job cost functionality. And so they think that they have grown to a certain point, they need to start investing in some of this, the middle market ERP. But the problem is they're old,
Clunky.
they're old, they don't have a lot of the technology, and so what ends up happening is when they go and they navigate to that, they end up losing all the stuff that they loved about QuickBooks. So now what IES has done is, with the new advancements, with the construction, with the reporting, the KPIs, and the AI, we've now been able to take and bridge that gap from a functionality perspective, which is huge. Now there's budgets, there are change orders, there's almost 20 reports now, there's the project agent. That is a really big deal because now they get everything they love plus more on that functionality side.
Thank you. So, Jordan, you obviously are working for a huge national firm. Tell us a little bit about how Aprio sees the accounting profession, the accounting industry evolving, and what Aprio's goals are.
Yeah, so I think Aprio is kind of a forward-thinking firm. We made an announcement about a few weeks back about our $300 million investment in AI, and a lot of that is rooted in our belief that the profession has an opportunity for change and an ability to start moving towards an advice world versus being more reactive. And so at Aprio, we're really working hard to prepare our CPAs, to prepare the people in the business to get ready to interact with their clients. So the investment we're making is to think forward, to be proactive, and to leverage what we always like the story, which is why we get along with Intuit so well, the human being and artificial intelligence. Like, we're a big believer in HI plus AI. I actually talked to Alex about this about a week ago. It's a passion in our firm. We believe that the human being is the central anchor point for us, and that artificial intelligence is our great enabler. And so we're excited about what comes next, and how do we make sure our people are ready for that.
Yep. And Scott, you were shaking your head, right? You talked about people, process, and technology. It's always, those three that you need for success. How is your view of the accounting industry changing?
So let's look at this software gap that exists out there. These companies that go into the Sages, that go into the foundation softwares, which are really specific for construction, they're archaic, and the problem is you can't just go in there and quickly fix something. So if I coded something wrong, I essentially have to reverse it. I usually use this analogy. I say it's like taking a Cybertruck, it's driving it into an alley in the middle of Italy, and you can't open the doors, you can't get out, and all you have to do is reverse yourself, and you hope that you don't break anything or create any collateral damage as you do it. And so we start to think about that flexibility and that agility that really happens in QuickBooks and IES, and that's more of a Vespa. And I look at it as a way that we can navigate through it. So now my team, instead of having to waste time trying to figure out how to solve technical issues and process issues, they can focus on what Jordan said, advice and providing the value to our clients. So it really is just a shift from very mechanical to now we're starting to get to really value-driven initiatives.
And how have you seen the change management of the people with that? You know, the people sometimes are the hardest to change, right? Someone's used to doing something for 10 years.
I think the biggest factor that I think out there is artificial intelligence is great, and the human being is the great gatekeeper to the deployment of artificial intelligence, right? And so it's super important that the human being is bought in. Change management is critical, and adoption and getting wins. And Scott, we were just having this conversation. It's go out there and play with it. I always joke, when we made the decision to make Copilot all available for everybody, and it was in May, it wasn't very far away, in May, it changed the dynamic of how we were interacting with AI for the human beings, and people were playing with Copilot and playing with it intelligently to help client experiences, which is amazing, right? But you have to start by getting them comfortable in it because the human being is the gatekeeper.
Yep, well said. So Sharon, back to you. Of course, businesses want to grow, but they also really like to save money. I heard you have saved $400,000 since you moved to IES. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so my husband's company, his cosmetic dermatology practice, was using a software called Nextech. And if you use Nextech, you had to use their payments gateway. And the information wasn't landing in QuickBooks. So I told Intuit, I said, you know, we need to hook up with Nextech, but they didn't want to because they didn't want you off their Nuvei system. So then someone at Intuit told me, well, you can use our payments system. And I said, okay, well, what are the rates? So we compared it, and it was much lower. So we hooked up the Intuit payment gateway, and in over a year, about year and a half, we saved about $400,000 in merchant fees. And that was like crazy.
What's pretty amazing about that is, think about that. That was what you're talking about there is just in merchant processing and having a consolidated suite, that opportunity to just consolidate and get that kind of savings and also be able to see it all.
Well, and think about this. If you would have gone to, say, a NetSuite, that would have cost you $250,000. Your licensing would probably be $10,000 a month. You'd have 6 to 9 months of a roadmap. It doesn't make sense. And so I think when we're starting to think about this gap in this middle market, we don't have to spend all that money and capital and time to go to this software. It really is bridging that gap, and it's extremely smart.
The money is a big deal, obviously. But more importantly, once you get on those softwares, they're so difficult to use. Yeah. And like you said, the employees have a hard time using it. It becomes like a whole nother business to train them how to use it. The beauty about Intuit software is it's so intuitive. Everyone can use it. Even I can log in and see, on my phone and see all my reports in one place. You couldn't do that with one of those softwares.
That's right.
And Scott, how are you using software to scale your firm? And whether it's Enterprise Suite or Accountant Suite, how do you view the evolution of software and kind of AI and HI as a way for you? I mean, you're a 75-person firm, competing for business with the firms your size, but also the big firms.
I think one of the most challenging things for us is that while construction companies are companies and they have some traditional accounting, there's different things that we have to do. I'll be honest, we've built a lot of homegrown systems. We're actually now going to be shifting to look for something that's on the enterprise side. And there's a couple of people that we're suiting right now, but with the release of the new Accountant Suite, it's changing our mind. In fact, we've kind of taken a step back. We selfishly want our clients to be in the same software. It's critical from a visibility perspective, a capacity, document management. But then also we start talking about AI and being able to interact with it. And sometimes it's as easy as, hey, where is this located? Or how do I find this? Because you can't rely on AI 100% to tell you everything that's going on. But we are encouraging our staff, and we're really trying to build something for the future as we continue to grow.
Yep. And Jordan, you mentioned the partnership that we're embarking on. How do you see the partnership, and whether it's, again, Enterprise Suite, Accountant Suite, the opportunities with AI kind of advancing Aprio's goals?
Yeah, I think we look at it as the Intuit platform, right? We look at it from end to end, and we think about everything from how do we reimagine tax preparation and going through that process to make the experience better for our clients, make the experience better for our employees so they can focus on that value add. We look at how do we get our customer, which is serving, we both serve the entrepreneur, right? The entrepreneur is entrepreneur. How do we make sure both on the personal side and the business side, they have the most seamless experience to allow them to grow, right? And that's what we love about this partnership, is that Intuit's spirit is with the entrepreneur, and we get to extend that lifeline out to go further, right? To go out and say, hey, we can take you, and you don't have to leave QuickBooks to continue running your business. You don't have to jump off this platform, and we can help you grow and get to that exit line where you change your critical formula for your personal side and personal wealth. And right beside it, we plan to have an engine that allows that to occur, right? That journey as that entrepreneur gets success and has now this new challenge, which is how do I manage this new wealth? How do I deal with the taxes and the personal side of this? We will make sure that experience is seamless for them. So they see it as a true partnership, so that Intuit and Aprio, as we take our customers through that journey, it's a full hand-to-hand experience.
So maybe, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's very, what he's saying makes a lot of sense. It's very, I mean, looking at what you're saying is like music to my ears. I love it when everything is in one platform, and then it becomes sort of like a relationship between the accountant and the client where you work together. I don't like when my CPA tells me 4 days before taxes, your taxes are all ready to go. Do you want to look at them? And it's like a stack this big.
You must get instead of getting a binder, you must get like
yeah, it's this big, and I'm like,
Exactly.
I don't even know where to look.
Right.
So then I ask the basic questions, and then sometimes we're just, we're flying blind, and I hate it. So I like the idea, what you were saying, of clients and accountants all being on one platform. I think and I know that Intuit is really trying to make that happen for the clients and the accountants, and I love that.
So maybe switching gears a little bit, we've all talked about different ways that you're using AI kind of outside of Intuit. Maybe share some of the things that you're getting the most value from.
I think this story is really cool because about 4 weeks ago, we had an audit client of ours show up with about 5,000 PDFs. And the audit client showed up, and our audit partner came in and called me and said, hey, is there a better way for us to go through these PDFs in a more streamlined fashion? And so we thought about it with our data and AI team and said, you know what, let's reinvent this. Let's use AI to essentially review the 5,000 PDFs, identify all the data anomalies that we could find, and accelerate the process for both us and our customer and deliver that more efficient. And the customer was giddy because the customer's like excited to get this done quicker. And there was no change in the price point to the customer, but the efficiency we gained on our side was exponential. So we're looking at ways to do things like that to change the algorithm in how we deliver services.
In some ways, it's actually a bigger benefit to the client that it was done so quickly.
Well, I mean, if you think about this, I read this funny story a while back. If Enron if people on the auditors for Enron had AI, Enron wouldn't have failed because the data sampling they did would have actually been all the data, not just select the one they were provided.
Yes, hopefully the auditors are adopting AI going forward.
Yeah.
Scott, how about you?
I've been an early adopter of AI. We've embedded in our firm since the very beginning. So at a very rudimentary level, everybody has access to ChatGPT. But one of the things that we found that we were running into as people started to explore and get online and look and even interact with ChatGPT is it can be wrong. We all know it can be wrong. And so we ended up building a GPT specifically for Red Hammer. We call it a Genius Bot. And all it does is look at GAAP, and it looks at the CFMA book, which is essentially the principles that have been defined by the peers around construction accounting, and that's all it looks at. It doesn't have the noise of everything that's out there in the world, and if people need to ask questions, like how do I depreciate a fixed asset, in a very simple form, but it now can help direct them with citations on the proper principle to do it. So now what we're doing is we're using technology to drive in and to teach people how to do things correctly. And then one little nugget, I actually used ChatGPT, the voice version of it, for my preparation today. So I took all of my notes.
You were trying to teach me that.
I took all of my notes and all the things that I was prepared to talk about, and what I did is I said, hey, create me a prompt of somebody, I'm on a panel, that is gonna ask me questions about these certain things. And I would interact voice-wise. I would say, okay, go, and I would talk. And then it would give me feedback, slow down there, talk about this a little bit more. So it's wild what you can do with it. And the fact that I can have a coach and somebody in front of me in my own room without having to, bring somebody in there to do it is absolutely amazing.
Well, you can tell me after what the AI told you questions that I should have asked.
I will, yeah.
That I didn't ask. So we all can get better through conversational AI. So I think we have time for one more question. And again, switching gears a little bit, maybe like, what can we do more? I mean, obviously, we're working closely with all of you. How can Intuit fuel your success even more? What would you wish? And you had a big wish 2 years ago, but what could we do better? And how could we innovate to help fuel your success?
Well, for me, it's been like one of the best business relationships I've ever had. Basically everything I've told you guys to develop, and I've worked with teams across the time, the payroll. I think I've worked with every department, and every wish list I had, you guys have actually delivered, and that's why I'm here today. I'm very busy. I don't usually take time out of my day. I have 3 kids, all in school, all under 15, so it's not so easy, but I really believe in this company. I believe in what you guys are building is so amazing. Having data in one place with all this AI that you're developing and all this intelligence that Sasan talked about, I think it's just a game changer. And I'm really excited about everything, all the new stuff you guys are doing. And I think, it's just going to change how we all do business. It makes it a lot more transparent. And for people who run businesses, it's like I said earlier, it's very important to be able to see your KPIs across the different entities.
Scott, how can we fuel your success?
I've had the best experience over the last 8 weeks that anybody with lots of ideas and lots of curiosity could ever have. I've been welcomed into the Lighthouse community. I've sat with multiple people to talk about the things we see in the industry. We're looking at things from a technical perspective, from an API connection. I have had multiple and plethora of meetings with, and I think you're doing everything you can now to listen not only to the customers, which is the primary premise of Lighthouse, but then us as firms and our perspective, because we're a lot more holistic. We're looking at things in kind of a forest, from the trees, and I think you're doing a fantastic job. Where we could not improve, but I want to see that gap close. I mean, I want to see that middle market. I want all those old softwares out of the way. I want to see that construction gap filled, and based on what Christine was talking about today, and I had to take a screenshot of the photo. I had to zoom in because there's so many things that they're doing on the construction side. That's super important for me and my firm.
Amazing, thank you. And Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo everything everybody said. You guys are doing amazing stuff. I think the thing that as we go through on this journey to move up market, I think recognizing that the customer's challenges are vastly different than before is the challenge we're all going to face together, right? You've earned the right to own the small business market, and as we move up market together, the algorithm really does change, and embracing that change together in an open mind while we're taking the customer with us. I think Greg Johnson and I, when we first started, it was a win-win-win. It was about the customer, the client was first, then Intuit, then Apria. It was focusing on that journey. I think continuing to evolve is what's most important as we go forward.
Yep. I don't think there's any better way to end it, that it starts with the customer, it starts with the client, and finding win-win-win for all of us, and doing that through partnership. We don't always get everything right away, but we aim to get it right, ultimately over time. So I couldn't thank all of you enough again for being here, and more importantly, for partnering with us on this journey. And
Thank you.
Thank you.